Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, January 21st. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. A new president, a new batch of executive orders, many of which will have an impact right here in San Diego County, from immigration and asylum to our schools and the pandemic, to name a few. We begin our coverage with reporter Karen Kafa.
To a nation waiting for action, let me be the clearest on this point. Help is on the way.
1 year and more than 400,000 American deaths later, President Joe Biden has inherited a crisis like no other. And on his first full day in office, his team is wasting no time.
This crisis is dire and it requires immediate action, and we hope and expect members of both parties to work together to do that.
The Biden administration has a national strategy for getting the pandemic under control, and the president signed at least 10 executive actions focused on COVID-19.
Our national plan launches a full-scale wartime effort to address the supply shortages by ramping up production and protective equipment, syringes, needles, you name it.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, now Biden's chief medical advisor, believes the United States can reach the president's goal of 100 million COVID-19 vaccines administered in 100 days and may be able to surpass it.
The concern I have, and something we're working on, is getting people who have vaccine hesitancy, who don't want to get vaccinated, because many people are skeptical about that. So we really need to do a lot of good outreach for that.
And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's eager to get Biden's COVID relief bill passed.
What the country needs to crush the virus, put money in the pockets of the American people.
In Washington, Karen Kafa, KPBS News.
When it comes to the effects of the pandemic on the economy, President Biden extended the existing nationwide moratorium on evictions and foreclosures until at least March 31st and paused student loan payments and interest on those loans until at least September 30th. He's also pledging to reopen most K-12 schools within 100 days. Today marks 1 year since the first COVID-19 patient in the U.S. was announced. Here in San Diego, 48 deaths and more than 1,100 cases were reported today. It comes 1 day after 65 deaths were reported, a new single-day record. The still rising death toll underscores the urgency of vaccinating those most at risk. Here's KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman.
The vaccination push is underway in San Diego County. Officials are adding more sites by the day.
We know that there's tremendous demand for appointments, and often as soon as they're made available, they are quickly gone.
Just a week ago, county officials were not ready to start offering vaccinations for seniors due to lack of supply, but now that's changed. Just in the last 48 hours, 170,000 doses were allocated here, but
we don't know what tomorrow or next week or the week after will bring. We certainly are very aggressive in requesting vaccines, but we don't have a schedule. We often don't know until we're told, hey, this was just shipped, what it will be or what happened. Now, again, you know, I don't want to give the sense that we're complaining. We will take whatever gets thrown at us.
Right now, it's a balancing act, opening new vaccination sites and releasing appointments while trying to figure out how many doses will be coming in.
There is a concern that we could build out all of this infrastructure and then not actually have the vaccines to administer, and that would be a bad situation.
So officials are deciding to move more aggressively, banking that building up infrastructure now will pay off later.
We also ask individuals do not make an appointment if you are not a healthcare worker or 75 years or older. Because by the time you get to registration and you don't meet those criteria, you will be turned away.
It's officially been a year since the first coronavirus case was confirmed in the United States. San Diego would soon start taking evacuees from Wuhan, China, with the first person from that group testing positive less than a month later.
I feel very confident and very proud of the response that we've provided in responding to COVID-19.
Public Health Officer Dr. Wilma Wooten says, reflecting back on a year, she just wishes that more people would have followed restrictions early on, pointing out spikes in cases from the summer. She does say that just over the last couple of days, the number of daily cases has been dropping, but
we need a longer trend, so we will cautiously watch those numbers and continue to vaccinate.
A new dashboard on the county's website shows current vaccination progress. So far, just 1% of San Diegans have been confirmed to have gotten both doses. And yesterday was a new high for San Diegans with coronavirus in the intensive care unit. A record 438 people countywide were in the ICU. Officials are pleading with people to keep distancing, wearing masks, and not gathering in groups. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The county's second super vaccination site opened today in Chula Vista. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer says the South Bay Clinic will administer up to 5,000 shots each day.
The Chula Vista site builds off of the county's first vaccination superstation outside of Petco Park. Both locations are administering vaccines 7 days a week to people eligible under Phase 1A. That includes healthcare workers, those in long-term care facilities, and individuals 75 and older. Firefighter paramedics and nursing students will help administer vaccines to eligible residents at the Chula Vista site.
Right now we are scaling it to be able to deliver 5,000 vaccines on any given day. And we do believe we can even scale up higher than that. And so this is really built out for even a higher capacity. We will start today with 1,800 vaccines being given.
While the Petco Park location is a partnership with UC San Diego Health, the Chula Vista site has the county, City of Chula Vista, and Sharp Healthcare working together. The new site was selected to provide an equitable distribution of vaccines, especially to hard-hit communities like those in the South Bay.
Any of the future investments, including vaccine distribution, is going to be made in communities that where the highest need is in the region. And we're going to do this based on science and data.
Across Southern California, COVID-19 super vaccination sites continue to grow, with 2 locations up and running in Orange County and 6 now operating across Los Angeles County.
While the rollout of the vaccine has seemed slow, it's collaborations like this one that we are announcing today that improves access to a life-saving vaccine that will allow us to return our kids to school, reopen our businesses, and rebuild our economy.
Sharp Healthcare will start vaccinating some of their own patients 75 and older starting tomorrow at select locations. Those eligible will be directly contacted by their provider. If you or your loved ones qualify to receive a vaccine, regularly check the county's website, vaccinationssuperstationsd.com, to book any available appointments. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
California gave the green light to immediately begin using a batch of Moderna vaccines that had been held for safety review. On Sunday, the state urged a pause on the batch after fewer than 10 people at Petco Park super site suffered allergic reactions. The state's epidemiologist said the review found no scientific basis to continue holding back the doses. We've been hearing from viewers and listeners about the difficulty in getting an appointment for a vaccine. KPBS reporter John Carroll talked to one of those viewers as the county announced a new plan to help seniors navigate the process.
Okay, open it. Seniors 75 and older can get a vaccine, the good news from earlier this week. But scheduling a vaccine appointment is proving to be a frustrating experience for seniors and those trying to help them with the process.
Then after I secured mine, well, then I said like 15, 20 minutes. That wasn't too bad. I'm willing to do that again. I thought about my husband.
Betsy Costas got back online. It wasn't so easy this time around. This time, it took a lot more than 15 or 20 minutes.
That was Monday evening at about 9, 10 o'clock. I didn't do much Tuesday besides that, as well as Wednesday. Wednesday evening, last night at 6 o'clock, I finally secured him an appointment.
Costas's particular complaint is about the CalVax website, which is where people are directed to make an appointment. She points out you have to answer a bunch of medically related questions before getting to the point where you select an appointment time. Problem is, you go through all that and then find there are no appointments left. That's what we found looking at the county vaccination sites online today. The only appointments available are at the Petco Superstation and the new South Bay Superstation in Chula Vista, which opened just today.
We definitely have plans to improve it.
At Wednesday's county news conference, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher acknowledged the issues with trying to set up appointments.
the state of California is launching an integrated kind of portal where people could more easily sign up and access available appointments. And we hope for that to come out in the coming days.
Fletcher did have some good news for seniors trying to book vaccine appointments. The 211 system will be available to help beginning tomorrow. Representatives will be able to either walk seniors through the process, do it for them while they're on the line, or connect them directly to their healthcare provider. Fletcher asks that only seniors and others eligible to get the vaccine now call the line. John Carroll, KPBS News.
We have all the latest information on vaccines at kpbs.org. We're tracking how many doses have arrived and been administered in our region. You can also see locations to get a shot and links to make an appointment online if you are eligible. Mayor Todd Gloria announced the city will make the $42 million available for emergency rental assistance. The money was received from a federal bill signed into law last month. The mayor is also proposing that eviction protection stay in effect 60 days after the emergency declaration is lifted for both renters and commercial tenants. He will bring his proposals to the city council on Tuesday. Local environmentalists are encouraged by the Biden administration move to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord and revoke the permit for the Keystone Pipeline. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says, however, the early victories don't diminish the challenges.
Environmentalists are buoyed by the Biden administration's immediate change of direction on climate issues.
I'm excited to see, President Biden restoring California's leadership on this and hopefully taking it further.
The change means California's battle with the federal government over auto emissions is likely over. Biden says he'll allow the state to set tougher car efficiency standards.
Transportation from cars is really like half our carbon footprint, and nationally it's also the biggest source of carbon pollution. So that one act of making cars more efficient will have a tremendous effect.
Tyzenhaus is also hoping for better mass transit systems to go along with tighter vehicle pollution standards.
We shouldn't be adding fuel to the fire that's already burning down our house. We need to be moving forward with renewable energy and with infrastructure that's going to build a cleaner and healthier America, not one that's going to tie us to the fuel sources of the past that got us into the problems.
The Public Interest Research Group is one of many organizations praising Biden's move to make climate change one of 4 critical issues that need immediate attention.
President Biden has made it clear that he recognizes the severity of the climate crisis and trusts the science that tells us what we need to do.
While Biden's early moves are winning praise, environmentalists also note they'll have to fight to get everything they want because Biden has not fully endorsed the Green New Deal. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Shortly after taking office, President Joe Biden issued a slew of executive orders regarding immigration and unveiled reform legislation. Here along the border, KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler tells us while change is on its way, there are still barriers facing asylum seekers who have now waited years to enter the United States.
President Biden signed several executive orders regarding immigration on day one, including a call for Congress to grant permanent status and a path to citizenship for dreamers, and changes to arrest priorities for immigration and customs enforcement. Late Wednesday night, the Department of Homeland Security announced that it would take the unprecedented step of pausing almost all deportations for 100 days, set to begin on Friday, and that it would surge resources to the southwest border in an attempt to process thousands of asylum seekers for entry into the U.S. UCLA law professor Hiroshi Marumura thinks the Biden administration has shown a real interest in solving the humanitarian crisis along the border.
I think the first step and probably the deepest commitment of the Biden administration is to restore some sense of the rule of law to what's going on the border.
Comprehensive immigration reform will take months to work through Congress, but immediate action for those in immigration detention and asylum seekers along the border could take just a few short weeks, as the Biden administration looks to quickly amend a Trump administration rule that stopped asylum processing since the beginning of the pandemic. Erica Pinheiro is a lawyer who works with asylum seekers stuck in Tijuana.
I think we've
seen the administration backtrack from some of the day one promises to sort of we need to do some work before we fulfill said promise.
Much of that work has been done in coordination with a group of local officials and immigrant advocacy groups known as the California Welcoming Task Force. Working with the president's transition team, they began to outline ways the Biden administration can begin to quickly process thousands of asylum seekers along the southern border and allow them to safely enter the United States. Attorney Margaret Cargioli was part of that group.
We understand that the Biden administration is facing serious challenges due to the extreme measures that the Trump administration took to undermine asylum law and dismantle immigration law.
On Tuesday, asylum seekers in Tijuana held a press conference asking the Biden administration to take quick action. But first, the administration needs to work with Customs and Border Protection, which manages the country's ports of entry. Leadership of the agency has been hostile to many of the Biden administration's priorities. Cargioli thinks they could find more help elsewhere in the government.
The Biden administration should look into other facets of the government that can take away any legal, humanitarian type cases away from basically a police enforcement agency.
The Biden administration has already floated a stepped-up role for asylum officers and the State Department. There's an estimated 15,000 asylum seekers in Baja California who either were denied the chance to apply for asylum or were sent back there under the Remain in Mexico program. The first stop for many of these asylum seekers in San Diego will be a shelter run by Jewish Family Service of San Diego, in conjunction with the county. Kate Clark is their Senior Director of Immigration Services. She says the shelter is up to the task of housing asylum seekers during a public health emergency.
We've seen historically asylum seekers coming and arriving to our care in very stressful situations, like in need of medical assistance with communicable conditions such as lice and scabies as a direct result of being in short-term DHS custody, including Border Patrol facilities or at the port of entry. But really, we've been able to develop a coordinated response with public health and other medical infrastructure to be able to tend to the unique needs that our guests have when they arrive to us.
After a few days at the shelter, they'll then continue their immigration case from inside the U.S. As the Biden administration reopens safe pathways into the country for those seeking safety and opportunity, San Diego looks to become, once again, a front door into the United States. Max Rivlin-Adler, KPBS News.
President Biden also ordered a stop to construction of the border wall, but work can still continue for the next week. On Wednesday, KPBS will bring you a look at the future of planned projects in San Diego County. The number of Americans seeking unemployment benefits fell slightly in President Trump's last full week in office, but remains at a historically high level. The Labor Department reported 900,000 people filed first-time claims last week. 5.1 million people are continuing to receive state jobless benefits, down slightly from the previous week. Economists say while some are finding jobs, others are using up their state benefits and transitioning to other extended benefits programs. Help is on the way for the millions of small businesses still struggling to make ends meet. The Paycheck Protection program is back open, and for many business owners who have adapted to survive the pandemic, applying this time around will be different. Mandy Gaither has more.
Applications now open. The Payment Protection Program is back, and that means small businesses can once again apply for a new, potentially forgivable federal loan.
We have worked with the PPPs last time. We will probably look into it again this time, absolutely. It's a big help, no question about it. We're thrilled that it's out there.
This time around, PPP reopened with some key changes. The maximum loan is now $2 million compared to the previous $10 million. You can get a first loan if you haven't received one before, or even a second loan. However, not every business is eligible for a loan this time. Businesses must show they lost revenue by at least 25% in any quarter of 2020 compared to the same quarter of 2019. vaccine. For hard-hit restaurants and businesses across the country, relief can't come soon enough.
It's been hard for a lot of small businesses. I think small music venues in particular have been hit really, really hard.
This new round of applications is possible due to the latest COVID relief package signed into law in December. That legislation included $284 billion for additional lending to eligible businesses, including those that already received a loan months ago. The bill includes measures aimed at making loans more available to micro businesses.
We've managed to survive for 9 months already, which is to itself pretty amazing.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And the Paycheck Protection program reopened last week for some businesses and will be slowly expanded. The deadline to apply for all the new loans is March 31st.
Well, we certainly saw a little bit of moisture this week, but we're actually going to see more chances of rain as we head through the weekend and into next week. Basically, the onshore flow, it starts as we head through tomorrow, and then we start to get that wetter pattern too, getting into this weekend. So the showers, they're returning tomorrow night, and things get interesting. Tonight, though, we just have a couple of clouds out there. For the most part, pretty quiet. Escondido coming in at 49 for the low, Mount Laguna 33. And yes, we will see that there's this onshore flow really picking up as we head through tomorrow ahead of the next storm system, which is sliding south here and down the coastline of California, or actually through most of California. So eventually we will get there with a chance for rain showers in the area and even maybe a few mountain snow showers out there. Overall, though, the trend here is temperatures in the 50s, 60s, more clouds again working their way on in. So we certainly will have kind of that coastal influence, places like Oceanside, 63 for your high. Same thing for San Diego. And again, clouds can be found out there as we head through tomorrow. Notice here how Futurecast takes us through time, and we keep a lot of those clouds out there towards the coast through most of the day. Not saying that we won't see any sunshine, we will. But as we head into the evening hours, notice how the showers try to make an entrance. Hard to say how much actually reaches the ground at this point in time. Notice it is very light compared to some of the heavier, more intense rain off towards the north. But we should get some more rain heading into tomorrow night through Saturday morning, look out. Could be a couple showers out there as well, and then continuing off and on throughout the day. So Saturday, a bit unsettled for us as we keep some of those spotty showers around, and the low pressure system, it works its way into the interior southwest, bringing us a cooler pattern as it does so. Notice temperatures in the upper 50s for Saturday towards the coast. We're in the mid 50s Monday and Tuesday, so it's not really just this trend heading through the next 2 days. It's really going to be a pattern that we see on repeat working its way into next week. So inland locations making it to the mid 50s, getting into the mountains a lot of the time hanging out in the 40s with some of those snow showers sticking around through Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. And we'll see the unsettled weather continue into the deserts too, especially as we head into early next work week. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
The College Board is dropping the SAT's optional essay and subject tests to meet the changing needs of students and colleges. The SAT essay will be available to take through June. Many schools have temporarily dropped requirements for college readiness exams because of the pandemic. The University of California system has suspended SAT and ACT exams until at least 2024. Finding out if you're at risk of COVID-19 may be as easy as wearing a sticker on your mask. Researchers at UC San Diego School of Engineering developed a sticker that can detect traces of the virus in your breath after a few hours of wearing it. The test uses a color-changing dye technique that's similar to home pregnancy tests. You would still need to get COVID-19 test after using the sticker. UC San Diego just got $1.3 million from the National Institute of Health to develop the device, test it for accuracy.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, facing major crises and challenges, a new presidency begins with a flurry of executive orders. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. Today marks 1 year since the first coronavirus case was reported here in the U.S. San Diego County public health officials announced 48 deaths and 1,100 cases today. It comes one day after a new single-day record of 65 deaths. Some positive news, though. 170,000 more vaccine doses have arrived in the last 48 hours. A second vaccination super center opened in Chula Vista today. Both this one and the Petco Park site are administering vaccines 7 days a week to people eligible under Phase 1A, including people 75 and older. Appointments are required and can be scheduled online. And now that 200,000 more people are eligible for the vaccine, we have been getting reports of people having a hard time getting an appointment. The county acknowledged the challenges and announced seniors can now call 211 for help with the process. Former California governor and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger has a message about vaccines inspired by The Terminator.
All right, I just got my vaccine, and I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. Come with me if you want to live.
That's one of the famous lines from his movie. He tweeted this video getting his first shot, saying he's never been happier to wait in a line, and asked everyone who's eligible to sign up. And you know, he'll be back for a second dose in a few weeks. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.